If you look at where real estate prices are today compared to where they were at the peak of the market in 2022, you'd probably come away thinking that real estate has performed pretty poorly over the last few years. And from that starting point, that's understandable. Benchmark prices in Belleville, Quinte West, and Prince Edward County are still more than 20% below their 2022 highs. But real estate generally isn't an asset that people should buy and sell over a 3 or 4 year time horizon. So today we'll zoom out and look at how values have performed over the past 10 years in our local market, starting with Belleville. In July of 2016, the benchmark price of a home in Belleville was $231,400. By April of 2022, that climbed to $633,000, an increase of 173% in less than 6 years. Since then, we've obviously seen a significant correction. As of July 2026, Belleville's benchmark price is sitting at about $479,000, about 24% below the April 2022 peak. But now let's look at that same market with a 10-year perspective. That person who owned the Belleville benchmark home from July of 2016 to July of 2026 saw its value increase from $231,000 to $479,000, about a 107% increase, or about $250,000. Put another way, despite all of the volatility in the market and the drawdowns from the peaks of 2022, the benchmark price of a home in Belleville has more than doubled over the last 10 years, equating to an annualized appreciation of about 7.5% per year. Now let's move to Quinte West. In July of 2016, benchmark price in Quinte West was $203,400. In March of 2022, it eventually peaked at above $590,000. An increase of almost 190%. Today in Quinte West, the benchmark price sits at $466,400, or about 21% below Quinte West's 2022 peak. And again, if that's the time period you're looking at, the market doesn't look particularly strong. Over the full 10 years, benchmark price increased more than $262,000 in Quinte West, which equates to about a 129% increase, or 8.6% per year, outperforming Belleville. And finally, Prince Edward County, a market we've been talking a lot about the softness, inventory levels, and weakness of the market as of late. Benchmark price from 2026 to 2022 increased from about $252,000 to $718,000, an increase of approximately 185%. Since then, benchmark price has declined to about $564,000 in the county, or about a 21% decline from its peak. Very similar to what we've seen in Belleville and Quinte West. But someone who owned the benchmark property in the county over the last 10 years saw an increase of value of $312,000, or about an 8.4% annualized appreciation. So across all three of our local markets, benchmark price has more than doubled over the last decade. But obviously, home ownership isn't just about appreciation. It offers you a place to live and generally more stability than renting. For homeowners with a mortgage, part of each payment goes towards your principal, which over time acts as a forced savings account and a hedge against inflation. Of course, none of this means owning a home doesn't come without costs. You have mortgage interest costs, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, etc. And there's no guarantee that the next 10 years produce the same amount of appreciation as the last 10. But when you look at the long-term numbers, it's easy to understand why real estate has historically been such an important wealth-building tool for Canadian households. The biggest takeaway from these numbers is that real estate definitely doesn't always go up. But despite the correction we've seen, prices in all three of our markets have more than doubled over the last decade. Along the way, homeowners have had the opportunity to pay down debt, build equity, and have long-term housing stability. Thanks for watching this week's Real Estate Update, and see you next week.